You meditate in the morning, 20 minutes. Over the day, you feel the good effects of that meditation. And about 8 hours later, you start feeling a little fatigued, or you're not feeling it quite as much. So you do it again. If you only do it once a day, you've got that 8 hours, and then you start to kind of go downhill. So just to prevent the downhill, we do it again. They accumulate. And first they maybe last an hour, then maybe 2 hours, then 3, then 4. We want to be doing this twice a day to solidify and infuse excuse me, the effects into our body mind system. Excuse me. And if a quality is arising from the Atman, we want to kickstart it with that second meditation. The quality will arise, but if we do the second meditation, it kickstarts those qualities and pushes them up further until they eventually become integrated.
Is one seated or laying down, or either or?
Do you do it seated or lying down, or either or?
Sitting upright, comfortable in a comfortable chair. If you like to sit with your legs crossed, whatever is comfortable, but sitting kind of upright, comfortably, just like I'm sitting comfortably. You don't have to do any mudras, or they have their value. They do things, but just sit comfortably. You can cross your legs or not. Just sit comfortably. You can sit up in bed and do it. You wake up, splash some water on your face, sit on the bed. It's better to take your shower and clean up and like that before meditation. And you don't want to eat right before meditation. Because eating is the opposite of it. Eating is stirring up the metabolism. Meditating is settling it down. So you don't want to eat right before. So you just sit up, meditate, then go about your day. And then just you can take a break at lunch, a 20-minute break at lunch. I'm an early riser. I'm up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. There's a really special time, an hour before sunrise, called the Hour of Brahman, where all the yogis and all those guys and women meditated. And that's when I meditate in my morning. And then the afternoon, it's early afternoon because I've meditated so early. But twice a day for optimal results. Kind of like brushing your teeth. You brush your teeth in the morning. If you don't brush your teeth, they kind of, in the afternoon, in the evening, they kind of get crusty, you know? And so it's just a habit that you get, and you can find time to do. Believe me, I mean, I'm a very busy person. I find time to do it. I actually meditate longer. I meditate about an hour and a half, but I have some other techniques I do. They're not the TM ones, Susan. They're other ones.
Where did you learn? Okay, this is a good question. Where did you learn how to select the mantras?
Through 50 years of experience studying the Veda, understanding what Guru Dev did, understanding Jyotish, understanding about Devatas, and understand just years and years and years. I've been reading Vedic literature since 1968. I'm 78 years old, almost 78. And so I've had a lot of time to figure all this out. But I was guided by how Guru Dev taught. I just happen to have collected, I've got 3 doctorates. I mean, you know, you got to do something to stay off the streets. So that's what I did. I went to school. And so I had a counseling practice. I have a naturopathic degree. I ran a naturopathic clinic, very, very successful. My third doctorate's in ancient art and architecture, Vastu Shastra, not the modern Vastu. You can ask Susan to show you that video from yesterday, but the true stuff. And I learned a lot through that. I learned a lot about vibrational matching. 20 years ago, when I started the Vastu routine, studying with this architect in India whose family's been doing it for over 1,000 years. Very famous go-to man, building architecture, Sabhata Veda and Vastu Shastra, and sculpture, iconometry, all of that. There's a vast amount of knowledge behind that people do not know. It was protected and secreted away, held by a very small number of families. And I learned about vibrational matching. I learned the importance of vibrational matching through studying ancient architecture, Vastu architecture. And that's where I understood the deep importance of vibrational matching, because we match the vibration of the house with the vibration of the person. We do it a little differently than this, but it's very similar. So years and years of study. I mean, I'm a scholar. I had Saraswati mantra. And it was incredible. I couldn't help myself. And double checking and verifying what the rishis said about this, that, or the other thing. And like this diagram of the bubble coming up from the lake, the TM people use something similar, but they don't understand what's beyond the bottom of the ocean, the bottom of the pond, that there's an Atman there. They don't understand that. And, but that comes from Vivekananda talking about, he used those words, the bubble rising from the bottom of the lake. Those were his words in his commentary on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. So I'm not copying anything with TM here. It's all coming from something preceding that.
I thought that was particularly fascinating when you showed the bubble diagram, that you found the source of the bubble diagram being Vivekananda. I find that very fascinating.
Yeah. You would
in general, yesterday I was giving a talk about the Beatles, and actually I mentioned Vivekananda in the talk, and I gave a quote from Vivekananda, and I asked how many in the audience knew who Vivekananda had ever heard of Vivekananda. And there was only one person in the audience who had ever even heard of Vivekananda. Just for your information, people don't even know who that person is. And these are all really spiritual people on this conference. They've had a lot of experience. And yet, over and over in my talk, I asked, do you know who this is? Do you know who that is? And the only person that they actually recognized, that a lot of people recognized, was Paramahansa Yogananda. They didn't know any of the others at all.
Very interesting. Let me show.
Yeah, so I think one reason I'm saying that to you is because if you're going to mention those names when you give talks, you'd better really define who those people are, because no one's going to know who Vivekananda is. Obviously, I know who he is. And I thought it was really interesting that you were showing his bubble diagram, because, I learned TM from Maharishi and he used the bubble diagram. And I thought, oh my God, he got that from Vivekananda.
I'm very careful to not violate the TM program. They have their thing that they do in their belief system. And I'm very respectful of that, and I don't want to violate it. It's very simple. There's something else that I usually show at the you're a spiritual group, so I feel like I can show this. But by the way, Vivekananda was the kind of like the first major Indian Swami or sage to come to the United States in the late 1800s. And he lectured around the US and around the world, actually. And he started what was called the Vedanta Society. And the Vedanta Society was the largest movement, sort of Indian philosophy movement in the United States for many, many years, and still is a pretty large movement. Although modern people like TM people and SRM people, Muktananda, those people have kind of, all of those groups, the Siddha groups, all of those have sort of taken over as being large movements. But Vivekananda was very clear. Susan, you would enjoy his commentary on the on the Patanjali. I'll send you a
Yeah,
copy.
Patanjali.
I have some things highlighted and some notes you might enjoy. I'll send it to you. But I wanted to share this with you.
Thank you. I would love that.
You're such a lively group here. This is a extension of this bubble diagram. I'll try to make it.
Oh my goodness.
And what this this square at the bottom, it said that by the rishis, by ancient rishis, that the Atman actually has a form, and it's cubical in form, and it has little designations of little cubical subdivisions. And Saint Teresa of Avila, who is a very famous saint, Catholic saint, actually describes the Atman as being a mansion with many rooms. She saw the Atman. She was an enlightened person. And this Atmic form gives rise to every thought, feeling, desire. If we're sad, it comes from there. If we have a great idea, it comes from there. If we have a neutral feeling, it comes from there. If we have an artistic feeling or an inspiration, it all comes from there. And then it manifests out above in the field of life, these things, thoughts, feelings, and desires. So here you may choose to go skiing to manifest that exhilarated feeling. Here you may choose to do a painting or do pottery. Here you may have some brilliant idea for a way to teach something or an invention. Here you may have some depression or some sadness. They're all arising from this inner being. Of course, there are physiological things like not enough light. Sunlight can create depression. Yes, we have that. But I'm talking about the general flow. What happens with this meditation is that, let me get my little annotation, that as we meditate, our brain, the surface of the pond goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and we start thinking at subtler levels. What I mean by that is that it's not that we're thinking at subtler levels, our awareness is expanded to a subtler level. I'm giving you information as if you've already been initiated into this method, but this is our follow-up work. Anyway, so we start perceiving at finer levels, finer and finer levels. And the longer we practice, the more we are able to perceive ideas, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and then reject certain emotions. Say, this is an idea we're getting to be a shoplifter. We can walk out of Walmart with our stuff because nobody's watching. Well, if we do that, then that impulse becomes stronger and stronger every time we do it. But say the first time it comes up, we're an honest person. We're not going to do that. So we reject it. And we turn around and go pay. Well, what we've done is we've eliminated that. Over time, we eliminate it. We make a different choice. Our awareness sees it coming before we do it. And when our awareness expands, we have more free will. We don't have a lot of free will right now. Most people in this world do not have much free will. As our awareness expands through meditation, we get more and more free will. And we're able to choose how our life looks. Any other questions or comments?
She wants to hear an example of a mantra,
There,
one of the mantras that's used.
there are, you can do a Google search on mantras and find all kinds of mantras. There are, Om is a mantra. That's a mantra that has a specific effect. Ing is a mantra. Shring is a mantra. There are hundreds of mantras, but there are only certain mantras that should be used for this particular meditation to have this particular effect. Now, technically, a mantra is a series of sounds. Om Namah Shivaya. That's a mantra. We use a single bija sound initially. Later on, there's a bigger sequence we give you that you can get for a different effect. But like Om Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya is a mantra. There are hundreds of mantras. Hundreds.
Actually, we had a class yesterday where one of the teachers went through all the different sounds. Actually, she went through the Sanskrit alphabet and she talked about all the sounds and what they relate to. Yeah, that was yesterday. Yeah. Well, you can get a copy of her talk if you want to get it. It's not very expensive. Ted is selling them. Any other questions? No other questions. So if they want to learn, they should just contact you, right?
Right. DR.
And how long is the initial session with you? Or how does that work exactly?
It's maybe about an hour, the initial session, and then the three follow-up sessions are an hour to 2 hours, depending upon the individuals. The follow-up we do as a group.
Okay, so the follow-up sessions would be in a group, whereas the initial session is individual.
Right, after this lecture, yeah. We'll be doing, in a couple weeks, we'll be doing individual sessions, individual teaching. And in about 2 weeks, I think. If you already practice transcendental meditation, then this will come pretty easy to you, although it's different. And you don't have to stop practicing it. Or whatever other technique you might do. If you have the time to do more than one technique. Most people that I've instructed have literally stopped doing TM per se. They use a different mantra. Thank you very much. I appreciate the questions, very good questions, and I appreciate the attention and the opportunity, Susan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. They want to thank you. We have the captain talking to us right now on the ship, but the people who are here want to convey their thanks to you and gratitude for
Thank
an
you.
amazing, fantastic talk. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
All right. I'll end the recording.